It's got the share
And
button.
we're live.
As soon as I see the share, I know we're in trouble.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking about things that we're not supposed to on these platforms. And I've got my homeboys, Mike Holm at threadweird.com and Kevin Allen Leversey with me today. I'm Tyler West, just in case those of you connected to me didn't know that. And we're going to be talking about, I'm going to truncate this for the censors, op-mock, hashtag op-mock. And I think you'll be able to figure out what we're talking about pretty quickly here.
Down and below, look at the scrolling bar.
Look at the scrolling bar right down there. All right, Mike.
Yeah.
So tell us about op-mock and why it's important that people understand that it's a thing and what role it presumably has in today's media environment.
Sure. And obviously, you guys feel free to jump in if I screw up my facts or years or whatever.
Yep.
Go ahead and critique me as you see fit. Op-mock is, it's a real thing. It did exist. It's a proven fact that it did exist. And, I think one of the things that I'm pretty adamant about is, and I think you guys are on the same page with me on this, is that not only was it in effect, but I am damn sure that it's still in effect today. Maybe even more so than it has been in the past. So what op-mock was/is essentially a CIA program that was, if you want to say, created, invented, unleashed upon the public, however you want to say it, during the 1950s, I believe. And what it did was not even essentially, or basically, what it did was allow the government to utilize mainstream media channels for the use of disseminating propaganda on the American public. What that means in today's verbiage is fake news, is essentially what that is. So, like I said, you can look up op-mock. You can go ahead and look up the documents that have been declassified on various government websites. You can find it in most notable news sources at some point. I would think that they would steer clear of it, or at least try to steer clear of it in recent years. But like I said, it was a thing. It did exist, and I feel that it is in full swing right now. And
so how far back does this program go?
I believe it was started in the 1940s. So right around the World War II era. I apologize, I don't have the particular year
That's okay.
that it was started.
1948.
Okay.
So in 1948, a guy named Frank Wisner, I'm probably mispronouncing his name, he was the director of the Office of Special Projects at the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
And people are up to no good whenever something is called special projects in the world of intelligence.
Yes.
So essentially, he was the one who established Operation Mock, and like you said, this is a program to influence people both through foreign media and domestically. Now, at this point, I want to remind people that the CIA is supposed to be restricted from operating domestically. But as we know, so often the story the public hears is far removed from the reality of the situation. So,
Yeah.
okay, so from 1948 to today, that's how many years?
I'm bad at math. I don't know.
63 years. 63 years since this program was initiated and never officially rescinded. And that's kind of why we're talking about it today. Is it still in operation? Maybe under another name,
Yeah, well,
officially or unofficially?
yeah, and that's the thing, because you'll have these special operations that are out there and they're given a certain name. And
Yeah.
anybody that understands how government works is you can take a special project, all of a sudden what's being done becomes known to the public, they don't like it, so you're like, oh yeah, you're right, you guys are right, we ended that program. Well, they didn't end it, they just renamed it, and then maybe they splintered it into 1,000 different pieces, so it's very compartmentalized, so even the people working on it don't realize what they're doing to contribute to the sum of the parts. It gets buried into a black budget. So
I disagree with that one point. I believe they absolutely know what they're doing, and I believe that, for example, look at Anderson Cooper. He was working for the CIA. Glenn Greenwald's very adamant about this. He lists all the time all the individuals who are reporters that are part of the deep state that are just pushing forward CIA information. They are absolutely knowing what they're doing.
I'm sorry, I did not know that Glenn Greenwald names names and has a list.
All the time.
Is there an article or a video?
His tweet stream is full of it. His tweet stream, he's always got the receipts. He's like, oh, where were you when the Iran war came out, or Iraq war came out? Are you spouting the CIA? And he goes through, especially with Samantha Power and all the people that are now into the Biden administration. He's adamant, saying, listen, this is nothing more than Obama and Susan Rice running the country. And these people are the mouthpieces. That is why they got rid of Julian Assange. His entire thing was, if wars are started by lies, how many can we stop with the truth?
Sure.
Yeah.
And I guess the reason I don't disagree with you on that. The reason that I think about things potentially being, in their separate silos, where people are just working on one project with one end goal in mind, and you've got somebody in the next silo doing the same thing. The reason that I think about it that way is, anybody that knows me knows that I'm an absolute UFO and alien nut. So if you look at how things were done, like in Area 51 or at Skunk Works, with Boeing and things like that, there is lots of people that will say this, and there's also documentation backing this up, that when they were working on these black projects for these top secret, why can't I think of the word? Airplanes, simple word.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But when they were working on these top secret projects, you would have people working on a specific part of that entire project.
Okay.
Okay, I'm working on a compressor. Great. Well, what does that compressor join up to? What do you get?
Yeah,
what do you get when you take all these little pieces and put them together? So that's why I think about
it. The engineers. Similarly, at NASA, the engineers are in their silos, and the work is compartmentalized. And a lot of them have no idea what the full scope of what they're building is, or what the part that they're working on, where it goes into the whole apparatus.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you
my uncle worked at Deft, and he helped create the coding for stealth coding. And so it was during the 80s. He was telling me about some of the work that he was doing when we were living in northern Arizona. And we were talking about UFOs, and he said that those were mostly just government planes. And he got in trouble when they found out he coated his Toyota MR2 turbo with stone paint.
That's awesome.
He was, awesome. Dude.
That's awesome.
From all the chemicals he got so much weird cancer. Right, but yeah, the dude, he was a chemical engineer, and yeah. So radar. Hey, it was totally radar, invisible radar.
I bet that'd be awesome. Be like, you guys ever seen the movie the Cannonball Run, the original?
I haven't.
You haven't? There's one car in there, and it's got, I want to say it's a team from Japan, and these guys basically drive this totally black car. It's completely stealth, and they got like a slit in the windows about this big, and the only time you ever see them is like at night, and all you can see is like their red eyeballs from their night vision. And they're just blazing across the United States. That's what it reminds me of. That's funny.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that car is also invisible to lasers because it fractals the laser sighting.
What does?
Can we still can you still get your hands on this?
Dude, it's like $1 million. It's like such a misappropriation of government funds. It's so expensive because it's rubber. It's like a rubber. It's a Teflon coat. It's like, Teflon. Yeah. It's like Teflon, but he explained it to me. Basically, it sucks in the rays and then it distributes them into, so it just absorbs it. It's absorbing, and if it's light, it
just disperses it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a prism. So he was telling me about how it, fractal math and all that stuff. My uncle was smart, dude.
Sounds like it. Sounds like a lot of fun too.
He was. He was the bad uncle, and I was the bad nephew.
Every family's got one, And if you don't know who it is, it's you. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So by 1953, the network of media outlets that was under the sway of this operation had included over 25 newspapers and media outlets. And you may recognize some of these names. Remember, this is 1953. So okay. By then, they held sway over CBS, Time, Life Magazine, New York Times, Washington Star, Miami Herald, and so on and so forth. And that was by 1953.
Sure.
And that's
scary as hell to think about. Yeah,
isn't it?
I mean, to think that I want to say the word sheeple, but I don't want to insult anybody. That the general public places such a trust in journalism that is either biased in a certain way to make the masses think a certain way, or to just outright feed them false information.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about this. Gary Webb, right? Somehow he ended up committing suicide with 2 bullets in the back of his brain. He was the one that was working for the San Jose, was it San Jose something? Was it? And he's the one that uncovered the crack cocaine CIA funding.
Yeah, that they were drug running. Yeah, the CIA was drug running. Yeah.
And all these guys were working for the CIA. And it's hilarious because I wanted to bring up Gary Webb and talk about how he exposed the CIA and he got executed with 2 bullets in the back of his brain. He actually it's ruled a suicide. And then the explanation is sometimes you can do it twice. So anyway, that aside, look at the Washington Post. Gary Webb was no hero. right? Look, right?
Yeah,
So you have all this stuff about how Gary Webb exposed real criminality with our government really running drugs. And what's the newspaper say?
Yeah.
You know, and so I've got a friend, and he's pretty established in the Australian media complex. He's like, I only read, you know, the good sources, Washington Post. And I'm like, you mean the CIA?
Now wait, the Washington is it the Washington
Wait,
Times or the Washington Post that's owned by
Bezos.
By Bezos.
The Post.
Okay.
Bezos is Washington
Yeah,
Post.
he's basically Satan incarnate.
Yeah. Well, and I've
Engaged.
I've been kind of seeing some chatter going around that a lot of you know, not only whether they be like current employees or former employees of the Post are saying that they would never dare write anything bad about Jeff Bezos or Amazon in the paper.
He's got an army. Did you see that they published Bezos has an army to argue with people that talk bad about him online?
How come I haven't come across him yet?
I'll dig. Look, I'm researching.
Or maybe I have.
I'll find it. So,
and Bezos has a $600 million contract with the CIA to develop their cloud.
There's the
$1
CIA.
billion.
Oh, it's $1 billion now?
1.1 billion, right? And and the dude. I love the fact that he's suing NASA for SpaceX's win, because and then Elon Musk tweets he can't get it up because Blue Origin has never been to orbit. Last year, SpaceX put double the mass into orbit than the entire Earth combined. SpaceX has had 88 successful back-to-back missions of reusable rocketry, right? So Starship's flying. It's flying. You can see it. It's flying. They haven't stuck the landing yet, but it's flying. And so NASA picked Starship. Why? It's half the cost, and it's like you can put 100 astronauts on the moon. Ready? Bezos is like a Lego set. It's got 4 different things that have to connect in space. It's got to go up on a $2 billion per launch rocket, right? And it needs 3 launches to get to the moon. Meanwhile, Elon's like, we're going to launch. We're going to go to the moon.
I think Elon did it on purpose. I think he came in with a lowball bid because he's like, you know what? I might as well just give a lowball bid because even if I don't get it, I'm going there anyway.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's what he said. And you know why NASA picked it? They put in there, this is a private company with examples already, dual redundancy. Blue Origin has no redundancy. And they're willing to shoulder the costs of research themselves, right?
Yeah. So Bezos is just having a hissy fit because his favor didn't get called in.
Not only that, the dude thinks, he's deep state. So he's like, he's so angry because all the time and energy he spent with the Old Boys Network, right?
Yeah.
You know who designed Alexa?
I don't.
CIA. Alexa has 27 microphones, and it goes to the permanent cloud. You put Alexa in your phone. Alexa has 27 microphones.
Wow.
That's bad.
Yeah.
And it's even bad because it's an odd number. I hate asymmetry.
Yeah.
So
Why the asymmetry bar?
Yeah, it's a prime number.
Anyway, we got off track. We got a little off track. Tyler, guide us a little bit.
I'm over here researching shit. I got Gary Webb's profile up.
So going back to something that we were talking about earlier, about how these top secret government programs to build things are highly compartmentalized. You have to think about that being the case for other government programs that don't involve engineering things, that involve maybe perhaps social engineering things. And one of the things that we think are exists as an enabling piece of legislation for the OPMOC is the Smith Mund Modernization Act.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah,
for those in
definitely.
the audience who've never heard of the Smith Mund Act of, I believe it was also 1948.
Yeah, it was 1948. Yeah.
Was it 1948?
Yep.
So at the same time that this OPMOC was started, they passed a piece of legislation called the Smith Mund Act, which essentially made it illegal for our government in the U.S. to push propaganda onto its citizens domestically,
Mm-hmm.
and the act enabled them to disseminate information and therefore propaganda to overseas jurisdictions.
Correct.
Well, interesting that these two
it's funny that they happen at the same time, right?
they happen at the same time.
That one ends and the other begins.
Right.
Right. And not only that, they found that there's another law on the books that stopped them from lying during the Obama administration, and they repealed it.
And what is that called? That's called the Smith Mund Modernization Act.
Right. Which is really
2012.
Right.
Yeah.
And so don't you find it hilarious that we are immediately banned by telling the truth about OPMA? Like there's dick pics on Facebook. You know what I mean? There's beheading pictures on Facebook. But as soon as you mention, right?
What kind of stuff do you have on Facebook, man?
But as soon as you mention Black Jesus and OPMA together in the same paragraph, ixnay on the ombre, homo.
Yeah, you're done.
The ban hammer comes down.
Right.
How many times have you been banned?
Me?
Or suspended?
Oh, dude,
yeah.
I lost. Okay, I'm a social.
Should we get something to drink or something to eat first?
That's not coffee.
I better stick to my tea for now.
So, as you guys know, I went to Australia in the early 2000s to launch social networking sites. So my first startup was a recruitment site in Sydney, Australia, for social networking. We were started before LinkedIn. When LinkedIn came across, I was like, "You bastards!" So I've been on LinkedIn since 2003, and I've did consulting work to Tribe.net and the founder of Zynga and all that stuff. So I've been through the entire. And I used to speak on blogging, Web 2.0, and social media globally. And I had a company that was a social media company. It was a social network that was competing against MySpace, Tribe, and the up-and-coming Facebook. And we got VC investment. I was in 5 countries in 5 weeks. I was doing all that. So I'm not just some dude that's like, a consumer of social media. I've been building it from the heyday. And a lot of these people, Arrington, the rest of them, I've had beers with. I had beers with Arrington at the bar before I went to his backyard. So Duncan Riley, the good buddy of mine, was a TechCrunch guy. So all these people, we were talking about bringing this in as this was going to save humanity. It was going to be the WikiLeaks. It was going to reveal truth and this is the thing that we often said: you can't control the conversation. It's just too big. Boy, were we a bunch of idiots. So. Yes, I was deplatformed. I was totally deplatformed May of 2019. Totally.
Okay, so that's relatively recently.
Yes, and then again,
so that was your first big suspension.
Well, yeah, I lost my Gmail. I lost my Facebook of 12 years. I lost my 16 Twitter accounts.
Wow.
And it was just a coordinated attack from social justice warriors. And I'm not doing anything against communities. I've been on the internet since the 90s, So I'm not Joe Idiot, right? I'm not, doxing anyone.
You were building the community standards.
I built it. I wrote this shite. Anyway, so that really hurt. And when you lose your entire network, you guys, you might not understand it. When you lose your account, you're gone. You're gone. You don't have their emails. You know, conversations that you're used to having that you've had for 12 years across, you know, my Facebook, I was linked to Woz. I used to talk to Woz on Facebook Messenger. You know, Woz is the founder of Apple. And, you know, we would, you know, I shared stuff about, he asked me about the Philippines, and I shared this stuff with him. That's how deep my network was, because I realized as soon as Facebook came in like 2008, I was like, wow, this is going to be huge. And I need to get in with these, you know, engineers and leaders of the world. So when you get deplatformed, you lose it all. And so if you're afraid of what somebody's saying, you cut out their tongue.
When you say you lose it all, you mean all of those people that you meticulously followed on
Granovetter, the strength of weak ties. Granovetter, the strength of weak ties.
And years
yes.
and years.
It's the strength of weak ties. Like, for example, people know you tertiary, right? But try to get a friend approval from Woz now. The system is so full, everybody in the world knows who he is. They see his profile. There's no way. So I was an early adopter of all this stuff. I built a beautiful network, and I was golden. And that got taken from me because, you know, I was doing crypto, and people didn't. When you're doing crypto and you do an ICO and you have competitors, they just went after me. They went after me. Do you know why I was eventually deplatformed? I had a Superman logo on a coffee cup that was in a picture, and anytime someone took a picture of me at my desk, there's that Superman coffee cup. They claimed a copyright notice
violation
on that coffee cup, and then destroyed all of my net, and that was on purpose. That was a malicious, on purpose attack.
Unreal.
By a competing SJW crowd.
So basically, they found a way to legally attack you because they didn't like where your mind was going.
They didn't like anything, right? And pretty so much. This is what I find hilarious. Look at Basecamp. Okay, Basecamp CEO just came out, and he said no politics, and 1/3 of them quit. Good, because the 1/3 that quit was the woke crowd, the one that's trying to censor everybody. And if you look,
that was a genius. That was a genius move, by the way.
They all have pronouns in their bio. They all have pronouns in their bio. It's like, you know, the guy saved his company. You know, just like Binance. Get out of here. You know, and the reason I'm saying this is this: the authoritarian crowd, CIA, the federal government, all that, they support the woke movement because it gives them power. Right? So rather than individuals having power, it's flipped around, and it is the government has power because
they can mobilize individuals against each other that way, and their hands are clean. Yeah.
Divide and conquer, right? And then you can illustrate because it's. I mean, let's be honest. Postmodern progressive ideology is a race to the bottom.
Yep.
Anyway,
I agree.
You were asking about being then this one time at band camp, and then so last year I got deplatformed a lot because I was sharing whistleblower stuff about the Rona, the My Sharona, and I shared peer-reviewed paperwork from the Nobel Prize winner about the transmission of where it came from and the Wu flu and the building it came from. And so I got deplatformed from that. Then I shared that Antifa was part of the Syrian YPG. They didn't like that. And then I shared, right? So it was consistent. So last year I was banned off of Facebook 7 months out of 12.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean that just goes to show that with everything that is happening in the world right now, and this is the way that I see it, with everything that's happening in the world right now, you got politicians on, you know, either supporting it, and you've got politicians that are opposed to it.
Right.
I think that no matter what side of the aisle you're on, if you're a politician, you know, basically both sides of the same coin. The trail looks different, but the destination is the same. So what I'm trying to say is the agenda that's there with everything that's going on in the world, all the stuff that seems just completely messed up. It seems like the politicians are, some of them are openly for it, some of them are secretly for it, because with those things continuing to happen, it allows them to gain further power. Just like you said, divide and conquer. So, but kind of going back to what we initially were talking about, the Smith Mund Act, in a nutshell, like Tyler said, it said that it made it illegal to utilize or to use propaganda on American citizens, but it made it legal to use propaganda on foreign nations. So fast forward to 2012, under the Obama administration and
Hillary's State Department.
Hillary Clinton is their State Department. The Smith Mund Act of 1948 becomes the Smith Mund Modernization Act. Now, if you look at reading about this, you're going to see all kinds of
which is 180 degrees about what the original bill was. They kept the name, so people are like,
exactly. So you're going to see, you're going to, if you go out there and read about it, you're going to see a bunch of articles that say the same thing. And then if you're on Google, you're probably not going to see this, but if you're on DuckDuckGo, you're going to find these kind of sprinkled in there, where it says that, look, the Smith Mund Act of 1948 made it illegal to utilize propaganda on the American people. The Smith Modernization Act was a repeal of the 1948 Act. So if you look at the 1948 Act on its face, if it's repealed, well, now it's legal to use propaganda on the American people. The way that they try to spin it is they assume, and when I say they, I'm talking about the government cronies writing this garbage. They assume that you're so brainwashed that you're going to believe that they say, no. When it was repealed, that doesn't mean that it legalized the use of propaganda on American citizens. You're totally wrong to think that the government would do something like that to you. They're going to say what it does is it allows real news, non-propaganda news, to be distributed to foreign countries so they can get accurate information.
So the implication,
which is complete bullshit.
The implication there is that information that comes from the government is real, is true.
Yeah.
Information.
Look,
the implication is
propaganda never comes from the government.
Yeah, the implication is that the info is real, that the news that we're putting out is real. And there's also the implication of, we used, tons and tons of propaganda on foreign countries, but now that it's legal in the United States to use it on American citizens, we would never do that.
We're
going to stop using propaganda on foreign nations. We're going to give everybody, the Scouts honor, whatever you want. We're going to give them the truth.
I just sent you,
I believe that.
I just sent you a massive report with Zero Hedge with Glenn Greenwald, and this is 1 week old, and it states that it used to say that the CIA infiltrated the media when the media is the CIA, and it is chock full of receipts. And you scroll down and it goes, the New York Times reporters who broke this actually worked for the CIA, and then it just keeps going down. Then you have Ben Norton. So U.S. spy agencies basically admit that they lied about the Russian paying militants in Afghanistan, and the entire Western media spread the story without any question. Why? Because they work for the CIA. And it goes on, and it's not just like it's like we're looking at over 100 different sources. And Matt Taibbi is it Taibbi or Tabby? Taibbi? Yeah, he's good too. But I mean, the point is we're not even allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
But it's the big freaking elephant standing behind us.
Yeah. And I found that out firsthand.
Sorry.
So tell us your
story.
censorship / suspension story.
Sure.
real quick.
Sure. In a nutshell, as Tyler mentioned at the beginning of all this, I own a company called threadweird.com. It's an apparel company. We focus on things like conspiracies, aliens, UFOs. Basically, if it's weird, I'm into it, and I'm probably going to design something around it for a t-shirt or something like that. So
you might even be able to find a picture of Mike with a tinfoil hat somewhere.
That's floating around somewhere.
Yeah, and you talk about importing Scottish sea mouse,
right? We have some interesting conversations. But anyway, I was obviously it's an online brand, so I use online means to advertise, and just like everybody else in today's digital age. So I had are we mentioning the name of the social media platform?
Let's not.
Owned by a guy named Zuck.
that might even okay. Anyway, the largest social media platform out there. You can figure out who it is. I had obviously a business page set up that I was trying to build up with followers, get some attention, get some eyeballs on my products. Part of having a business page is you can have an advertising account. So rather than, posting content, posting products, and hoping that people share it and kind of, it grows organically, you pay this platform to push your products or your ideas or whatever you want.
Exposure. Yeah,
to give you more exposure. So, and you can target the people you want to get in front of. So, as a part of building this brand, we decided to start blogging. That's something that's important with building a brand. And one of the articles that we wrote was on OpMock. And up to the point, let's put it this way. I haven't had any warnings or suspensions, restrictions, nothing like that on this particular platform. So we go ahead and write this article. We post it up and get it out there. And I think it was within 24 hours, I went back into my advertising account to begin advertising a new product that I had designed. And it says, "Oh, you can't advertise this. Your account is restricted." So I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of weird, but I've heard of it happening by accident before. And then, I kind of start digging around, and it says that I'm restricted because I violated their disinformation policy. And they do have that particular post on there as violating the disinformation policy.
Thou shalt not talk against the CIA.
Yeah. So anyway,
it's the 11th commandment. They didn't have room for it on the first 10.
And the interesting thing is the post that I put up was not the write-up in its entirety. Okay. It basically had, "Hey, you ever heard about this? Read our blog post." And then it links to an article on my site.
You essentially summarize what you have read elsewhere around the internet, right?
It states, I'm the one that did the research on this. It states the .gov Congress change to the update.
Yeah.
There's
so
there's no disinformation in here.
Exactly. None. We took what is accepted as factual information from other sources, compiled it together, and formed a conclusion. Yeah, and formed a conclusion based on that factual information. So somewhere along the line, what this tells me is, since I didn't put the entire write-up in my post, since you had to actually click the link to get to the article, that tells me that somebody from this social media platform actually clicked the link, went in, read my article, decided they didn't like what it says, and decided to not only flag that post as violation of this misinformation policy, but just decided to outright permanently disable my advertising account. I received absolutely no warning. I didn't get emails, saying, "Hey, your account's at risk." I just went in one day to advertise something and found out that I was permanently banned. So in talking with the platform, obviously I want to try to figure out if I can fix this. So I reach out to the social media platform and I say, hey, look, these are the steps that you guys are telling me to take to fix this. What can I do to fix it? I've gone into the article and I've put a disclaimer on there to make it very clear that this is my opinion. Even though
that
it's
seems
chock
like
full,
a responsible move.
Yeah, even though it's chock full of facts, basically I want to get my advertising account back.
Yeah.
And they just said, well, the ban is permanent because you're a repeat offender.
When it was your first?
I go, and my reply was, I'm a repeat offender. I have one noted violation on my account, and now you're telling me I'm permanently banned because I'm a repeat offender. And in response to that, they told me that their policies department will purposefully withhold information regarding violations due to proprietary reasons. So essentially, they had been watching me for a while, apparently, and they essentially set a trap for me. And finally, I said something. They didn't say exactly. They never state specifically what it was I said. What little sentence or paragraph out of that article was so non-factual that they banned me permanently.
What was the offending statement?
Yeah, they never tell you. They said that I was a repeat offender. Yeah, I mean, they said I was a repeat offender, and we would like to help you further. We realize this is important to your business. Blah blah blah. They're trying to kiss my ass, and I even tried to respond to the chat in I don't even remember what I was going to say, but basically they said, nope, you're banned. You're a repeat violator. It's proprietary. See you later. And the chat was ended. So I didn't even have the chance to respond after that.
Yeah. Then
how long were you posting UFOs?
For
roughly 2 years.
Yeah, I want to say like a year and a half.
Never had an issue, right?
Yeah, I mean it was kind of on a casual basis.
Did they ever even superimpose one of those content warnings?
No.
On one of your UFO posts?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
So
I mean, I could have. There was information that I had posted in regard to UFOs and aliens that was blatantly non-factual. I mean, like
just be out of this world, right?
Yes. I mean, so ridiculous and stupid and non-factual that if anything should have been flagged. I mean, if they're really going to uphold this disinformation policy, that stuff should have been flagged.
Dude, come on, dude. We talk about Bigfoot for crying out loud.
Yeah. I mean,
Bigfoot doesn't believe in Bigfoot.
It's UFOs and cryptids and fairies and Mothman and aliens and butt probes. It's crazy stuff. Some of it could be real, some of it could not. So, but the point is, the way in which they enforce this policy is obviously kind of on an arbitrary basis, where they're like, oh well, yeah, what he posted is absolutely ridiculous and it's totally false. But we're not going to flag that because it's funny or it's harmless. But as soon as I actually talk about something that's real, that's factual, that exposes the powers that be, I got the boot up my ass and I'm gone with no recourse. So
that's the other interesting.
If that doesn't tell you something, I mean, that's
so you posted some content on your page, and as far as I can tell, you're still able to post content on your page.
I am, yes. I'm just not allowed to advertise.
What they took away from you is the ability to make money on the platform.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, that's
Chinese. Hey, that's Chinese social credit score right there, right? And not only that,
it is.
There's no
this guy doesn't think right, so let's shut down his business.
Exactly. It's all subjective.
Yeah, it is. It is. And you know, like we discussed earlier, it was factual information, you know, compiled logically to form a conclusion. You know.
Yeah. So, right. So we started this whole dialogue talking about how a great deal of the mainstream media is essentially a
It's a duck and cover operation.
like,
I mean, we saw that firsthand with Epstein. I mean,
Yes.
what was the lady's name? Was it ABC or NBC or whatever? Yeah. She's sitting there saying, "We had it all years ago. We had it all."
Yeah, she was
but
reported.
But they wouldn't let me run it.
Yep.
Now, why the hell wouldn't they let her run?
And then she gets fired.
Yeah.
And then she gets fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
dude, Epstein didn't kill himself. Dude, that dude's gonna show up riding the Loch Ness Monster holding an Uzi.
That's a T-shirt right there.
Dude, Epstein didn't kill himself? And he's coming down, dude, right? Oh.
I'm writing it down.
Write it down.
Yeah. Hey, what's our Twitch?
This is a working meeting. We just happen to be live streaming it.
Where are we on Twitch? What's our Twitch channel, Tyler?
Redacted News.
Redacted. One word?
Yeah.
Oh, here we are. We have 0 viewers. Whoa! Hello, 0 Twitch viewers. Jesus Christ. Hey, talk about a kick in the nuts. I'm thinking we're going to have and I'm looking over there.
It's the first one, man.
Hey, I'm coming. I'm going to be a furry the next episode. I'm thinking we're going to have
wait. Somebody's watching.
You know what? Please excuse me. I'm new to this live streaming platform, but this comment from James Griffin came in about 20 minutes ago, and I didn't realize I had to publish it, so that's why it seems kind of off topic.
That's all right.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
And the comment says if they have a blue check, then they have to go.
If they have a blue check, they have to go. Thank you, James.
Yes.
You appreciate your comment.
And he's not speaking from the I take it that he's not speaking from the standpoint of the social media platform. I'll admit that I know James in some capacity.
He's still watching. We have 1 viewer.
So yeah, I mean that's
Kevin White.
That's what happened to me. And that, you know, to think that somebody like me, I mean, seriously, I run an online business up until 2 or 3 months ago, I was a one-man operation. And I make, you know, a shirt with a UFO on it that says, you know, get in, loser. You know, we're doing butt stuff. I mean, I make fun products. Some of it delves into, you know, a little bit of the deeper conspiracies and things like that. But to think that, you know, the little guy like me, sitting in my basement that's cold right now because I'm wearing a hoodie, could scare this social media giant that much, with a few thoughts that I put on paper and decided to publish.
By really
makes
just
you think.
citing information that's already out there.
Yeah, it's nothing new. I mean, you know, with the exception of the editorial flair that might be thrown in there, but the information is not new. So it's, you know, bury the truth, bury the past.
This is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, erase the past in hopes that they'll forget.
That there are things that they simply don't want you to share with others.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to, and they're willing to inflict material economic harm on those who they foresee as who they perceive as a threat. And that's what you experienced. I tell myself that I have experienced that too. My original Twitter account was permanently suspended. I wasn't banned from the platform.
When was this?
Account suspended. And this account goes all the way back to the early days of Twitter. It was a well-seasoned Twitter account. And I've always styled myself to be one of the very first people to get on a new social media platform.
I lost something.
Kevin Lover C joined.
Hey, you're back.
Damn.
Okay, we're all back.
We lost something.
Yeah, my camera. I need to, when we're done with this call, I need to like get a camera stand because if I move the camera, it dies, and then I have to fiddle around with it. It's like when you have one of those.
Stop slapping the camera, Kevin.
Did we lose the live feed, Tyler? Or are we still good?
It says share. We're still live.
Okay.
It says share. If it says share, we're live.
Hey, James, are we still live?
James.
Hey, we're live. We're live because I'm seeing us on Twitch. I'm seeing us on Twitch.
All right.
So yeah, you know how you have one of these cables when you're trying to charge your phone? And my camera's like that. Everything in my life is like that right now.
So first round of technical difficulties, we all survived. We're good.
All I know is we're talking about alien butt plugs and Scottish semen.
Well, we lost you for a little bit. Tyler was actually telling us about his Twitter account. That got banned.
Yeah. So my Twitter account, going back to like 2005 or 6, got permanently suspended, which means not only can you not post to it, but you can't. You lose everybody you followed over the years, and everybody who has followed you over the years, of course, they don't follow you anymore. It's basically
you're basically starting back at zero.
You're starting back at zero, even if you could post, but you can't even post. Basically, all you're allowed to do is go in and download your data.
I can do that. I lost like 16 accounts.
Yeah, you can download your posts. They'll let you do that.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I had a moment where I honestly felt like driving down to the ocean and then just jumping in. I really had a moment when I got deplatformed. So I work 100% online. That's it. I live in the Philippines. I live in Asia, and they took away all of my business, all of my clients, all of my data. Not just on Facebook, which was huge, but across Twitter, Gmail, everything. Yes, you are still live. Thank you, bud. So, sorry, I'm reading it like my grandma. Like, you're ever on a conference call with your grandma or like somebody like that's a little older, and they're like, "Where's the button? I don't recognize the button." And you're like, "Grandma, I can see. Can you see me?" Yes, Grandma, I can see you.
Well, and something that I forgot to mention is, in addition to, my advertising account being permanently terminated, there is obviously a lot of shadow banning going on as well. A good example of that is my wife obviously follows my business on this social media platform, and even prior,
my follower account on my third Twitter account. My followers on my third Twitter account have been locked at like 125 for the last year.
Yeah. So I mean, even prior to the advertising account getting the boot, she would ask me. She's like, "Are you like not promoting your business anymore? Are you doing anything? Are you putting anything out there? And I'm like, yeah, I'm putting stuff out there every day, maybe multiple times a day. And she's like, I haven't seen anything from you all week.
Yeah.
It's like, that's good to know, So,
I
not
like
only
your Stellar Lumen shirt. XLM has been good to me.
So, I mean, not only am I banned, but I've been, drastically suppressed from accomplishing any sort of organic growth. So,
yeah.
I have a question. Who in their right mind just elected supreme overlords that get to decide if you can make money and talk to people?
CIA.
Hey,
Sure, that was easy.
When everybody was like, "Oh, Facebook was given a funding by the CIA," da 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 da, and I was like, I didn't believe it. Do you know when I believed it?
You believe it now?
I believe it the moment we published the OpMock freaking blog, and the very moment you got a permanent ban.
Well, yeah, and also, have you? This is something that I came to the realization recently. On your various social media channels, especially this one in particular, have you noticed more and more of an echo chamber?
Yes.
Yes, and I'll explain.
Yeah.
Who shows up on your feed?
Sorry.
And they say that, oh, we want to connect you to, we do that on purpose. It's our algorithm because we want to connect you with people that share similar interests and blah, blah, blah.
Right?
No, it creates an echo chamber in order to basically isolate and polarize people.
Correct.
Yeah.
What's even worse is, and I did this as a test, on the platform that rhymes with cuck. I created a space channel, and so I would do a live, and I would get 3,000 views just off my first live. My second live was about the same, and as soon as I started cross-posting or sharing Threadweird, I get 0. I will do a live now, and I'm not even seen. Why?
Yep.
Because I shared your, and there's no strike, there's no nothing.
Why do you guys still hang out with me?
Because you pay us.
I'm blackballed.
He pays us to be here.
I'm going to get you all blackballed.
Hey, that's why.
Good answer. Good answer.
That is why. Yeah, I got it. Real but it was my freaking article that got you banned. I lost sleep over that. I even told my wife, shit. She's like, what is it? Everything you touch, nobody likes you.
The trap was already set.
The trap was set. It was going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if it wasn't that, it was going to be something else.
Well, look, I'm glad we have Redact TV now.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think the fact that I was, putting up images of the Dr. Fauci shirts that, it looks like that old Obama hope poster. But it had Fauci. It had Fauci on there, and it had words like depopulation and death and lies and conspiracy. I don't think that helped my cause either. So,
well,
I'm just trying to give the people what they want.
Tyler, can you share the screen and show it?
Yeah.
Share it.
1 second.
Share it.
I'm doing that right now.
Let's promote. Hey, honestly, I want one of those, dude. I want those shirts, dude. If we could put, dude. We need to get, hey, if anyone who's an influencer is listening to us right now, first, I'm sorry. Second is we will gladly give you some gear. So you want some cool Threadweird gear? Man, you wear it on I want to get Tim, Jack Murphy, JP Sears, Lauren Chen because she's so hot.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could use all the exposure we can get.
So
true,
because people understand
we're invisible right now.
We absolutely require community, because these assholes aren't going to. These vampires. That's cool.
Stopped himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I mean, I think that putting out variants of that image with, that type of message on, I don't think that helped either. So I don't think it was just your article, Kevin. I think that was basically said, okay, we've had eyeballs.
Suggestion to do the Fauci shirt too.
We've had eyeballs on this guy. We've had eyeballs on this guy for a long time. Here's something that we can actually legally do. Well, I shouldn't even say legally.
One T-shirt idea, dude, and it was the one that got banned. I was like, we need to do a Fauci shirt,
But
now I'm not in charge of any creative decisions. No creative decisions.
Oh, hey, Mike, can we give our listeners a 10% off coupon?
Absolutely. I'll just have to create the coupon code. What do you think we should name the coupon code?
OpMock.
We'll use OpMock.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. OPMOCK. So if you use that code on threadweird.com, you can get 10% off. And I'm not just going to do 10% off a shirt. I'm going to do 10% off your entire order. Why not?
Nice.
So I will get that set up as soon as we're done here. So
nice.
And if at all possible,
better quality on Twitch we got. Okay, cool. So basically, Facebook's not so groovy, but Twitch is doing good.
Yeah. So, but I mean, basically, the way that, in case anybody watching this or listening to this hasn't figured out, this is our first podcast. So, aside from one minor technical difficulty, we hoped you guys like it. But this is kind of like a welcome to our world sort of thing, where we're not, what we intend to talk about isn't just like government conspiracies. That's a big portion of what we're going to talk about, because a lot of government conspiracy and conspiracy in general ties into kind of the other themes that we like to focus on, which is, like I had mentioned before, aliens, UFOs, cryptids.
What's a cryptid?
A cryptid is basically think of cryptozoology.
Okay.
It's a creature. It's a creature that, in cryptozoology, people study creatures that are not yet proved to exist.
Okay, I thought you were talking about crypto.
And no, crypto.
No, not crypto. We can talk about crypto.
I was going to buy it. Is that an altcoin?
It's called an NFT. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it should be.
But yeah, I mean, crypto will probably be sprinkled in there somewhere. But in having this conversation, it's it opens up the doorway to the information that is put out there that is quite possibly fake and untruthful, but also in regard to the information that is not supposed to be let out, that you find out through leaks and things like that. And obviously, like I said, when you're talking about conspiracy and government, especially most recently government, when you get into the topic of UFOs, there's a lot of information coming out on UFOs in regard to the government. So
that freaks me out, to be honest with you, because they're either setting us up for something.
Project Bluebeam.
Where's the
if you don't know what Project Bluebeam is, go look it up. It'll scare the shit out of you.
What do you think it is? Honestly, why all of a sudden
is all that information coming out?
Yeah, why?
Oh man,
somebody decided we were able to, or what?
I don't know. I'm really kind of torn on that subject, because if you look at kind of the two main teams that are out there right now, You've got Luis Elizondo and Tom, what's his name from Blink 182?
Tom DeLonge.
Tom DeLonge, that's it. Thank you.
Mr. I have done way too many substances.
They
Dude,
come at
that
it.
guy is being used by the CIA to promote disinformation. This guy, and they're like, yeah, useful idiot, you know?
Well, and see, that's the thing, because Elizondo and DeLonge come at it with, basically an intelligence community background, on not from Tom DeLonge, but from Elizondo. So that's how they're able to get all these contacts within the government and within the intelligence community to talk, whether it be on their podcast, their TV shows or whatever. So they come at it from an intelligence and a military standpoint, and they don't outright come out and say it. But when I listen to them speak and I listen to their content and watch their shows, that seed is planted in my head that, okay, they have all this military involvement and there's so much going on with the Department of Defense and they don't know what it is and they're afraid of it. So that seed that's being planted is that UFO or UAPs, whatever you want to refer to them as, are a threat, that they pose some sort of defense threat. If you look at the other side of the spectrum, you've got a man by the name of Dr. Steven Greer, who has a totally different outlook. This is the guy, I don't know if you guys have heard of him. This might sound crazy, but
look, you were talking about Scott Seaman earlier, so I'm good.
But he's developed basically a program called CE5, which is a close encounter of the fifth kind. So in a close encounter of the fifth kind means that you have contact with either an alien or an interdimensional being, but you have that contact because you actually initiated the contact. And
like a Ouija board.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I don't want to get into demons because I believe in demons. I have them in my house. So Buck says, I think it's coming out now as a major distraction. Some of the things are coming up, traitors on government, child trafficking, Luciferian, human sacrifices, dumbs, etc. These states panicking to a great extent.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think
too close to home, Buck.
Yeah, and I think that's why people like Elizondo and DeLonge get a lot more coverage in the mainstream than somebody like Dr. Steven Greer, because, like I said, Elizondo and DeLonge come at it from a military and a intelligence standpoint where they see it as a threat, whereas Dr. Steven Greer comes at it from, basically these are like the higher beings, and they come in peace. They come in, we're reaching out to them to contact them, and they are actually responding back because the people that are making that sort of contact have reached a certain spiritual state where essentially these beings can help them ascend, or they come at it from a standpoint of it's peaceful and they're trying to help the human race, as opposed to
you should read a book called The Beautiful
Alien
Side of
Invasion
Evil.
that's going to kill us all.
There's a book by Dr. Joanna Michelson called The Beautiful Side of Evil, and she's a trained doctor, and she talks about how she became a psychic healer and discusses interdimensional beings and all this stuff and whatever. And the book was written in the 80s, and it's a very good book.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, and she spoke many times saying that, listen, I do believe that we probably are not the only ones in the universe, that God has created, multiple whatever, because God is math, God's the ultimate solution to the world. However, I do believe that we might enter a time to where demons are referred to as aliens. So one of the things that freaks me out is, coming from a science and a faith background, is it's like, you look at all the stuff that's come out about the Luciferian stuff, look at Epstein Island, look at those rituals, right? And look at Ellen's background. This stuff is not an accident, And the more I read, the more I dive into it. I honestly believe that there is other aliens. I believe in aliens. But I also believe there's like, maybe they call them interdimensional beings. Maybe what faith refers to interdimensional beings are is demons. But I honestly believe that evil exists in this universe, right? And I also believe good exists in this universe. And I also believe that outside of that, you have man and maybe aliens dealing with their stuff. And then there might, I think that not all, I don't think it's sweeping. I don't think it's like interdimensional beings are the aliens that we're looking for. I believe that the aliens do exist, and I believe the interdimensional stuff might be spiritual.
I wouldn't disagree with you on that. Going back to what you had said about demons,
you're talking about.
I got to bring it back up because you said you don't want to talk about it. There's a book out there, and I don't know the name of the title off the top of my head, but it basically discusses it gives kind of like a timeline of how demons have been rebranded as aliens.
Yeah, give me that book.
I'll find it for you. I'll find it. But also, if you look back to Aleister Crowley, good old Aleister Crowley. If you pull up a picture,
that dude, man.
If you pull up a picture of Lamb, who was the demon that he encountered, there's a striking resemblance to a gray alien. The classic gray alien form.
Yes.
So if you put a side-by-side picture of Lamb and a gray alien, they're pretty damn close. So, I'm not one of those people that I'm not one of the people that say I have the answers. Because there's a number of different theories out there, and honestly, I kind of believe all of them.
Same.
Because I don't know.
Right, because there's not a grand unifying theory. Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, there's enough in there in each one of them for my brain to say, okay, that actually makes sense, and that's a possibility. So I don't want to latch onto any one theory. What I do take a side on is aliens, interdimensional beings, whatever you want to refer to them as. I don't necessarily agree with the standpoint that they are a threat. I'll just say that. And maybe that's my bias in thinking about, because I don't want them to be a threat.
I believe aliens are in our dimension. I believe interdimensional beings are what we call a spiritual realm, right? Yeah. Because remember, what's the other dimension? Time, right? So we're in 3 dimensions, which is, and then the z-axis. What's the 4th dimension? Well, the 4th dimension, as we know it and understand it, is time. Now, you go into other realms, which is where string theory comes in, and it's like, is it 11 dimensions? Is it 14? Look at the work of Eric Weinstein and his trying to wrap everything around the grand unifying theory between relativity and what is the quantum realm. So we don't have the answer yet, but I agree with you that Aleister Crowley was an evil motherfucker.
Yeah. Well,
and I agree that that shit that we're looking at right there.
Yeah.
I would be like, holy water. I'd have a 5-gallon. I'd have super soaker holy water. I would have the priest. The priest that was in Constantine, the alcoholic. I'd give that guy a bottle of fucking door, and I'd be like, take that freaking fire hose and wash this house.
But I mean, look at that picture that's up on the screen. I mean, aside from the gigantic black eyes, I mean, that's pretty much spot on.
Great, yeah.
So, I think it's a possibility.
What year was this written?
Oh man.
Yeah, don't do that whole Barbara Bush, Aleister Crowley thing, bro.
We're gonna save that for another day.
We're saying that that's a deep dive, dude.
That's
There's
an
something
hour's.
definitely wrong with the bushes, okay?
That's an hour's long conversation.
Dude,
You know.
there's definitely. Hey, speaking of the sea, yeah,
exactly. But going back to, I had mentioned Project Bluebeam. Basically, Project Bluebeam, it was a theory, and I need to get my people's names in my head better. But anyway, the theory behind Project Bluebeam is that basically the public will become 100% of the public will become 100% awake to all of the bullshit that world governments have been doing to us. So it goes back to that, if we want to stop playing their game, all we got to do is stand up. So in order to, I guess, control the public, once they reach that state of knowing every wrong that has been done to them by government or the powers that be, that the government has the technology to basically fake an alien invasion. Some people say that it would be.
Yeah.
Some people say that it would be an alien invasion. Some people say that they would project the image of Christ in order to.
Well, that's the whole
basically bring everybody under one religion.
Antichrist thing, right? Remember?
Yeah,
it's the whole
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
It's all the false leader. Hey, get your vaccine passport chip. Designed by the Pentagon.
Right.
Jesus Christ, the memes write themselves.
I'm one of those guys where, whether it's an alien invasion or whether we know that a nuke is headed to the United States, while everybody's trying to duck and cover, I'm going to grab my family and just go outside and watch.
Do you know my family used to?
Either way, it'll be the most amazing thing you'll ever see in your lifetime.
My uncles and my grandparents and uncles and aunts would sit on the roof and watch the nukes pop off in the distance during the 50s.
Whoa.
That would be crazy.
Can you
That'd
imagine
be crazy
that?
to see. I mean, I like to go chase tornadoes and stuff, but
I love typhoons, man. It's something about nature.
We don't get typhoons in the upper Midwest.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in. I spent a couple years in Michigan when I was my 3rd and 4th grade year. And that was intense.
Yeah.
All right, Buck Swain has a message for us.
He's probably referring to the bushes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey,
there's a whole.
Like they say, a bird in the hand is better than.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bloodline chart. There's reptilian ties. That's a whole bag of surprises.
What was in the envelopes is all I want to know. What was in the envelopes? What was in those envelopes?
Well, it wasn't anthrax powder.
Dude, you should pull up the video of Jeb Bush going. And then they showed it to George Bush, and he's like, and then Laura Bush is like, and you're like, what the fuck is in that?
I don't know if I
they
can
kind of freaked out.
that.
Who, right? That right there is some, and then we got to talk about the Black Eye Club next.
We will talk about that. Yeah.
Oh, hey, let's do a poll for our 4 or 5 watchers. What do you want us to cover on the next episode? Oh, here, Buck Swain has some more advice for us.
There you go.
Hey. Maybe.
I want to be R.
He's saying that in the envelopes was a message that we have everything signed Q.
Yeah, but I'm going to be R.
I don't disagree with you, Buck.
I think there's pictures. I think it was a picture.
Should what?
I think there was a picture.
There could have been.
You think there was a picture? Like
for that reaction? For that reaction?
Yeah.
I think it was like it was a ritual picture, or it was, dude, it was a ritual. right? Or it was a statement signed Trump.
Dumbs and Phil Schneider. There we go. That's a good one.
I want to cover dumbs.
That would be a good one to talk about.
Okay, so I'm
Not
dumb.
necessarily on the next
so I'm dumb.
A dumb is a deep underground military base.
I already referred to us as geniuses.
So it's an acronym. It's an acronym.
We got to get rid of the Aleister Crowley thing, dude. It's freaking me out.
We can't be an oxymoron
Dude,
now.
I'm looking at that shit and it's looking back at me.
So I'm just gonna kind of start a rough list here. We got the
soul.
bushes, envelopes.
Okay.
And dumb.
So
I think
let's look at newsjacking. Buck, what's going on since we got one dude talking to us? And hi, Emily. I didn't say hi earlier. So what's going on in the news that we can
Emily's on here?
She said hi earlier. Yeah, but when you talk, you don't look at the screen when you talk. You know what you do, Mike? You kind of like, yeah. So you weren't seeing the stuff that's going on.
I'm talking to the demons, man.
Oh, fuck. There goes our thing. Kevin's probably a lot closer with his guess.
I think he's saying we're a lot closer to being a bunch of dum-dums than a bunch of geniuses.
I know what he's talking about. So yeah, that would actually be a very interesting one.
Who's
because
Phil Schneider?
Phil Schneider just very quickly claims to have been a contractor on the deep underground military base in Dulce, New Mexico, and he actually got and he actually got in a firefight with some of these.
That's the whole UFO firefight thing.
Yep. So the guy had a lot of injuries to back his story up, and he committed suicide later on in his life after. No, he was actually. They claimed he had a lot of medical issues. So I'm not sure if it was like a colostomy bag or something like that. But anyway, one of the tubes that he was using to help his medical condition. They said that basically that he like got tangled up in it and it ended up strangulating him, or that he did it, or that he did it himself.
Right.
Which is not believable at all.
Just like Gary's Webb's 2 bullets in the back of his head.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, ruled a suicide and obvious homicide. So, but yeah, that would be an interesting one to talk about. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Right. There's so much. I mean, you get into UFOs and aliens. There's so much that we can talk about. So
I think Dumb's all right. Let's do it. When's our next show?
We're gonna schedule this at least once a week, around the same time.
Do it tomorrow.
So
do it tomorrow.
Tyler says no.
You know what? I left the door open for you when I said at least once a week.
Yeah, let's do tomorrow. Let's get about 5 done and then figure out what it looks like.
Love it.
I'm in for tomorrow, same time.
Okay. Right. Same bat time, same bat time. Hey, listen, everybody, your coupon
surprise.
Get 10% of your entire order, not just a t-shirt.
Yep. So I think that we'll wrap this one up here, guys. To the people that were listening live, thank you very much. And to the people that are going to listen to this later, hopefully, thank you very much as well. And find us on the various social channels under ThreadWeird. And yeah, shoot us a message, give us a shout. We'd love to chat with you. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. You guys got anything to say, Tyler, Kevin?
All right, gentlemen. I enjoyed the show, and I think with every subsequent show we're going to get better, more refined in our delivery, but we're still going to run the gamut of topics and subject matter, and you just gotta know that that's what you want to be a part of when you watch the show.
Yeah, you'll never know what is going to come up. So, in all these crazy brains put together. So,
right.
All right.
We'll
go ahead and
end the stream. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.